In New Orleans, 1834, a city already soaked in superstition, voodoo rituals, and whispers of the dead. But on Royal Street stood a mansion so feared, locals crossed the road rather than walk past it. Not because it looked haunted, but because of the woman who lived inside. Her name was Madame Delphine LaLaurie. To high society, she was elegance personified. Wealthy, refined, a socialite who hosted lavish parties filled with judges, doctors, politicians. Her home glowed with candlelight, music, and laughter. But behind those polished doors, something monstrous was happening. Servants worked the mansion day and night. Enslaved men, women, and children, rarely seen, rarely heard. Guests noticed something unsettling. The staff looked terrified, too terrified. Some had visible scars, others vanished without explanation. When questioned, LaLaurie would smile politely and change the subject. Rumors began to spread through New Orleans society, whispers of cruelty, punishments, screams heard late at night from the upper floors, but no one dared challenge her. She was powerful, untouchable, until the fire. On April the 10th, 1834, smoke began pouring from the LaLaurie Mansion. Neighbors rushed outside as flames climbed the walls. Firefighters forced their way in expecting to rescue trapped servants. Instead, they discovered something far worse. In the kitchen, an elderly enslaved woman was found chained to the stove, burned, starved, and barely alive. She confessed she had started the fire herself, not to escape, but to die, because what was happening upstairs was worse than death. Firefighters broke open the locked attic doors, and what they found inside shocked even the hardest first responders. 7 enslaved people were discovered, suspended from the ceiling, their limbs stretched, mutilated, bodies grotesquely altered by prolonged torture. Some had iron collars embedded into their flesh. Others had bones broken and reset in unnatural positions. One man's skin had been peeled in patterns. Another had been fitted with a crude spiked collar that prevented movement. They were alive, barely. Witnesses reported surgical mutilations as if experiments had been performed, not punishment, but deliberate, methodical cruelty. The scene was so horrific that several rescuers fled the attic in tears. Word spread through New Orleans within hours. Crowds gathered outside the mansion. What they had long suspected was now confirmed. The elegant hostess was a sadist, a torturer, a monster hiding behind silk gowns and polite smiles. Enraged citizens stormed the property. Furniture smashed, windows shattered. The mansion was torn apart room by room. People searched for more victims, more hidden chambers, more evidence of suffering, but Madame LaLaurie herself was gone. She had fled the city before authorities could arrest her, escaping by carriage, then by ship, eventually disappearing into Europe. Despite the scale of her crimes, she was never tried, never imprisoned, and never held accountable. Her wealth and influence had brought her freedom, but the mansion she left behind would never be free of what happened inside. After the fire, the building stood abandoned. Locals claimed screams still echoed from the upper floors. Lights flickered in empty rooms. Shadows moved behind shattered windows. Workers hired to repair the mansion quit within days, reporting footsteps, whispers, and the feeling of being watched. Some refused to even enter the attic where the tortured victims had been found. Over the decades, the property changed hands many times, but no owner stayed long. Every renovation uncovered something disturbing. Hidden shackles, blood-stained floorboards, concealed compartments inside the walls, as if the house itself was trying to remember. In the 20th century, paranormal investigators began documenting the site. They recorded unexplained voices, children crying, chains dragging across the floors. Visitors claimed to see figures staring from upstairs windows, even when the building was empty. One tour guide reported being shoved violently while alone inside. Another claimed they heard breathing directly behind them, but no one was there. The attic remained the most active area. Cold spots, disembodied screams, and the overwhelming sensation of dread, as if the suffering never ended. Today, the LaLaurie Mansion still stands on Royal Street, restored on the outside, but its history can't be erased. It's considered one of the most haunted buildings in America, not because of ghost stories, but because the horror was real, documented, witnessed, survived. The victims' names are largely lost to history, but their suffering shaped the legend of the house. And the woman responsible, Madame Delphine LaLaurie, remains one of the most feared figures in true crime history. Not a killer driven by rage, but by calculated cruelty. A woman who lived among society's elite while hiding a torture chamber in her attic. And some believe if you stand outside the mansion late at night, you can still hear it, faint, distant, screams carried through the walls, echoes of the ones who never escaped.